Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the Prolific Perspectives podcast. Today, I have the founder of AlexanderGoshen Industrial Real Estate Development, brother Miles Alexander III. Man, I appreciate you taking the time to chop it up with me a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's an honor and a pleasure, man. So, a little backstory: how did you get into the real estate, industry as a whole? Like, how did you get into that lane, into that niche?
Yeah, man. Unique story. I actually started in the single family realm. I was in the military back in 2005.
Mhm.
Uh, at the time when we were going into the military or army, I may say, they were giving out bonuses, and I was able to leverage that into buying my first property.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, that's how I actually started. So when I'm actually, it's Alexander Goshen.
Oh, my
That's
bad.
the name of it. Nah, it's cool.
Gotcha.
Alexander Goshen. So commercial real estate development.
Got you. That's what's up, man. So you started out with that one property, and then you kind of was just able to take that one, and then kind of like just flip it, kind of like Monopoly a little bit, or how did the process?
Yeah, I kind of dibble and dabble, man. I played in the tax lien arena. We're buying tax lien foreclosed properties. Then I went into home building, learned a valuable lesson in home building, and then also became a contractor.
Got you.
And I was able to grow my portfolio in single family holdings as well as single family development to leverage into larger deals, which ultimately got me into the multifamily acquisitions, which we specialize in multifamily development, multifamily acquisitions, mixed use properties.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, I was doing a little bit of research on your site. I see you got properties all over, well, in multiple different areas in Florida. You got some in St. Pete. I want to say, is it Fort Myers? And then
Right.
a couple of other spots that you were located in as well, in terms of some of the properties that you've acquired. What's the largest property that you've acquired so far, that you've built so far in your construction or your
Yeah. So we to give you the whole round, we currently have in our portfolio a little bit over 2,000 units. The largest would be in Georgia, which is a 400 unit, north of 400 units in Decatur.
hmm,
That is the largest property we actually built
that's what's
in
up.
Decatur.
That's what's
We've done
up.
some hotels. We've done some hotels, ground up construction. We've done some acquisition stuff. We currently have three in our portfolio right now.
That's what's up, man. I saw that you had on the site the mayor of ATL. Was that for one of the properties?
Yeah, yeah. So that particular property was more of affordable housing project where we were able to fill that property with supportive housing, tenant-based vouchers in partnership with the Atlanta Housing Authority. The mayor was pretty happy about that, along with going with his initiative to fill the city of Atlanta with 20,000 units.
Wow,
So we were glad to add to his portfolio of completion. That property is 100% at 60% AMI or below. So truly affordable, fully furnished, and a lot of art. A lot of people came out, be able to get local artists to partake in the project of adding their talent by adding murals and et cetera to the property.
that's what's up, man. I like that. What is AMI? What does that stand for? The acronym?
So area medium income. So that's a level of affordability that is set by the city or the state or federal level, where it provides a level of income that myself, like a developer or a
Mhm.
lender, will say, hey, this is the set uh, type of AMI we need in order to participate in our programs and to match the level of affordability that they would need uh, for, as we know, affordable housing and housing as a whole is at a crisis. People are losing their homes, not able to afford where they're living at based on, how things are in the market. So our job is, and we're happy of providing quality, affordable luxury housing to these people.
That's what's up. That's cool, man. And I'm looking at your site now. And like I see some of the art where I see one of them is like a huge mural with somebody like doing like this. Like that's
Yeah,
dope. Is that on the side of the building that you
yeah,
guys? That's what's up.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then you had local artists come in and do the mural work on the
Yeah, so that local artist, that's native to Atlanta, Georgia.
That's what's up, man. I like that a lot. Now, being that you have properties in Florida, I'm sure you know how crazy the Florida market is. Do you see any foresee any collaborations with any of the leaders in the Florida, the state of Florida, in terms of creating some housing, especially like in the Central Florida area? Like that's where I'm gonna put it, in the Tampa area. And I know
Yeah,
it's
man.
nuts here. So
Yeah, man. We have some current projects going on in the St. Pete area right now where we were just actually awarded a project in partnership with Pinellas County School Board, where we are focusing on providing luxury affordable housing at 80% to 120% AMI for teachers and staff of Pinellas County target.
wow,
So we understand the crisis of where, you know, quality housing is not in the realm of where Pinellas County they're working. So they are traveling outside of the county to home, back to work, and it's just not feasible for the staff. So
right,
sometimes, and most of the times, you're finding out that these counties or these school boards, they're losing teachers because it doesn't make sense to drive, 45 minutes an hour to work based on their, you're going to spend their check, they're going to spend it in gas,
right, right.
so our job is to provide housing at a more affordable but luxury level for them to actually enjoy and experience.
That's dope, man. I like that a lot because that's really a crisis. Like they can't even keep like school bus drivers, like teachers. There's a shortage on teachers, shortage on bus drivers. Like it's crazy, you know how everything is, the market and the gentrification of how what's going on in our neighborhoods, and then for you guys to be able to create some
Yeah.
sense of relief to that, I think that's powerful, man. Like for sure, I definitely commend it, and it's definitely needed. It's definitely needed
Yeah,
without.
man. Teachers, yeah. So your teacher, your firefighter, your police officer, your school bus driver, your trash collector, all of these essential workers that are needed to run a city and keep things going don't have quality housing. So our jobs are to provide that.
Right. That's what's up. Now, how does like for example, I know with the connection to the CEO experience in terms of entrepreneurship and business ownership, et cetera. I had a brother on earlier I was speaking to who works for the equity minority certification department here in the local area, and we were speaking about how how important that aspect of it is in terms of people who are small business owners and trying to get these certifications so we can kind of qualify for some of these grants and some of these opportunities that are out there. So with your business, have you ever got any of the certifications kind of utilized to help you to qualify to get some of these opportunities that you've been able to take advantage of?
Yeah, I've taken advantage of some of the MBE certifications, 8A certifications to partner and leverage that type of certification to do work with larger projects, larger developers, larger contractors. Specifically under my construction company, I was able to utilize that. But there's a line between doing good work and just having a certification, and just being a part of a team, or being, for lack of better words, they call it term being pimped. So we don't operate under the MBE certification of just saying, "Hey, I have a certification. Utilize me for a fee just because I'm Black." You know what
Right,
I'm saying? I want to bring to awareness that I'm talented as well. I know my work. I know my craft. I can be a competitor as well, no matter the color. So I want to be known as that first. Uh, Less the certification. The certification is a plus, but a lot of the things we go after, the products we go after, we're not thinking of MBE certifications, but it is very helpful and
right.
needed as well.
Absolutely. No, and I respect it because I've had people approach me for that, pretty much to kind of be the face for them to kind of come in the back door and take, funding from other
Right.
small, business owners, which I declined because I felt like essentially that's me selling out. Like I'm not, we already, it's hard enough to get, opportunities as it is, you know what I mean? So I'm not gonna let you give me a little hush money for you, to capitalize and then take that opportunity away from one of us. I can't do it. So I respect it, man, for sure. Absolutely.
Really.
That's an honor. So now, as far as like people who are motivated to get into real estate and motivated to, you know, grow and scale and to make it to the level that you made it to, what advice would you give listeners who are already in the industry or who are aspiring to be in the industry to kind of get the ball rolling, and like what play or what playbook or plan of action should they take in order to try to get to that level?
One is, if you are aspiring to be a developer, know that craft, know what the importance of being a developer is, knowing the financial aspects, know how to run performance, know how to run numbers, know how to, like, let me take that back. A developer is almost like you have your symphony, and your conductor is the one that's showing and operating and bringing everybody together. So I have to know a little bit of knowledge of what that, cello was doing, and know his notes, and the violinist and the pianist. You know what I'm saying? So a developer has to have various amounts of talent and knowledge to understand and operate. So in our world, it's the architect, it's the construction management, it's knowing how to put a capital stack together to submit for funding, uh, in a sense. So, you know, always learning, always being a student, always leveraging partnerships, partnering with people like me, partner with people that and you aspire to be like, reaching out to those developers that you see, not being afraid, offering value to them to make their life easier. So one of the things I'm a big advocate for is partnerships. So like for the project in St. Pete, we are partnering with a bigger developer, but he's out of DC, right? So he's busy, he's doing his thing. We're more of a native or more of a local to the Central Florida or Florida region in the whole.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we make his life easier, as well as being an additive to helping the process go smoother.
Right.
So we bring in and acquire a productive team that may be that he might not know, right? So we're bringing architects, we're finding contractors, we're finding the minority addition that needs to be a part of that. We're running, and looking for funding, raising capital, so there's a value that you say, all right, you know, we have this project, we bring this project to him, or any partner. You bring a project to him, you package it, and it's less work for them. Basically, I'm saying. So learn how to be a value add to the partner that you want to acquire.
Yeah, you dropping some jewels, man. So you said a few things in there that kind of made me kind of like the light bulb up. So when you talk about funding and like stacks and deal stacks, can you kind of elaborate on, what that means and what that entails? Because I've
Sure.
taken the dive into the mergers and acquisition space, and I know, with the deal stacks, you definitely want to stack a deal to where it's advantageous to make it get done. But it's a lot that goes into, deal stacking as well. Can you kind of elaborate on how you would put together a deal stack for especially a project on the scale that you're doing?
Sure. So goes for both ways. It could be affordable, it could be a regular market rate deal. You have your senior debt that you would go and apply for with your financial package. So at this time, when I'm going to find capital, my financial package is already together, the performance and everything, my studies, meeting market studies, all my due diligence from phase ones to geos. So all of that stuff is put together. We have something to submit, and we know the capital we need. So in this market, especially this market today, you're probably going to get, let's just say hypothetically, 50% loan to value or 50% loan to cost for a project. So I'm gonna go to my senior lender and say, hey, can you provide this amount of capital at 50%, right? So then after the senior debt, there could be a mezz portion or subordinate debt to the senior debt. And that could be private capital, that could be mezz capital for 10%, 20% of that capital stack, right? Then there could be other resources and incentives one of the things in Florida, there's various resources in Florida. There's a home, there's SHIT, there's sale, there's other TAD funds or TIF funds that are available that the CR, if your property is in a CRA, that you could add to that capital stack to fill that gap. Because what the gap is essentially that equity portion that is the difference between your senior lender or your senior debt and your 100% total project cost. So subordinate, we're back to mezz debt, or there's a subordinate debt. There could be different resources from the city or the state or federal. There could be private capital from family and friends. There could be your capital from yourself. So all it is that's the game of raising money, and networking. You're always running around talking to people, selling yourself. So.
Yeah, it's a definitely it's something to be spoke about when you talk about adding value. I think most people in business know the value in relationships, but also the ability to leverage relationships. And I think when we talk about doing that, that's where it's like no cap to what the potential is, in terms of creating success. And so as far as like one of the things I was thinking about with you, like how you've grown from the one property to where you are now, at what point did you make a team or create a team that you could utilize to kind of help you to get to that level? Because I know another thing, like most entrepreneurs who are especially just getting started don't have a team or don't have a support system to kind of help with the growth and scale, process. So what members of the team did you have to put in place? And then like, how long did it take for you to get a team to where you can really move and get to the level where you're at now?
Man, this is a 15-year, 20-year process for me. Wow. I got successful in this industry overnight, which took 10 years, 15 years.
I know that's right. That was a long night.
That was a long night. But I'll tell you, adding value. I sought after a investor developer that was acquiring a lot of property in the city of Atlanta, on the metro areas of Atlanta. Caucasian gentleman. My value was I know construction. I knew construction. I'm able to control labor costs, material costs, of how productive I was with my labor force, and how I retain my force in the city of or in the metro area of Atlanta. So I came to this person wanting him to teach me, but I just didn't want to ask him to teach me. I wanted to work for him or be of service to him with my construction company. So as I was productive and beating numbers of other contractors, performing at a quicker rate than other contractors, 14 months for this contractor, it took me 8 months to get stuff done, to rehab units, turnover units. So then I realized my value, and my value came with a dollar sign and capital. And I realized I needed to turn that into equity with him to get into another project. So now I'm investing my overhead of what is supposed to be paid to me, or my profit that's supposed to be paid to me, into now a project. And we did it a couple of times, and all I knew at the time and what I was seeing wasn't asking a lot of questions. I asked a lot of questions, but I was seeing what he was doing. So I understood that your balance sheet was very important. Your liquid capital was very important. So what did I have to do to get that balance sheet? I needed equity in projects. I needed liquidity. So as I'm setting aside, capital, not eating anything ramens and noodles, and, not buying any new cars or anything, thinking, because with us, we get something, we want to spend it, but saving that money, realizing that I need equity. So we started investing in projects. When I submitted my proposal to him, I go to him, I say, hey man, I could do this for this price, but I want, my profit to turn into equity at 5%, 10%, 20% of what it is. So But then after you do that so many times and you have so many deals, then that turns into a real liquid balance sheet. I
Mm,
can now leverage that balance sheet and
hmm.
go do a deal myself. You
That's
understand?
powerful.
So then as I'm watching his operations as well, because I'm
Right.
seeing how his property management works. I'm seeing how his acquisition specialist works. I'm seeing how his financial analysts and how they analyze deals and what they're looking for, what their metrics for IRR and all of that stuff,
Hmm.
what they're levered and under, whatever they're looking for at the time.
Right.
This is years ago.
Right.
For return basis, all I did was rinse and repeat, copy, rinse, and repeat.
Mm,
And now I was able to go mimic the finance because I know what a financial analyst look like.
right.
And I wanted to learn how to do a performer myself.
Right.
I didn't just want to go get a person and say, do this. I
Right.
needed to know what I was talking about so I
Hmm.
can go tell this guy. So
Right.
I won't look like an idiot trying
Right.
to tell this guy something to do that I haven't even done or
Right.
seen.
Right.
So with all those different attributes of people that I needed to find and procure, I was able to now go out on my own and create Alexander Goshen, an investment development firm, and have an actual team that was comparable or better and much more competitive to other developers and investors out here. And
Mm,
when did my deal, and and there's a lot more to it. Like
right.
I watched who he was financing with his different local institutions and different CDFIs and all of that stuff like that.
Hmm.
And you know, I called them too when I was ready. Jot
Mm.
down the numbers and keep that in the Rolodex and show up at the conferences and shake hands and they see me. I'm not ready yet, but they
Right.
see me and I'm nice and
Right.
coffee
Right.
and you know a drink. You know, I drink water. I don't drink, you know.
Yeah, I got me
So
some too.
yeah. So yeah, man, that's basically how I built my track.
Nah, that's dope, man. Because I mean, I love hearing people's story and how they get to where they are. You know, especially hearing the process and the journey. Because I think so many people get caught up in seeing the after. You know, like seeing the final product of where
Yeah.
you are now and what you have achieved and accomplished. But they don't know about that night that took 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like they wasn't with you with the ramen. You know, they didn't see you with the ramen noodle every night. You know, and it reminds me of an interview I saw about Jeezy when he was hustling coming up. He was saying he was like spending I think like $2 or $5 a day for lunch. He wouldn't buy nothing else but I think a Subway sandwich and some chips. And he said he ate it every day until he, you know what I'm saying, he really started like stacking and kind of like what you were doing, but you know how the snowman did it, but reinvesting and rinse and repeat, and then you know that's when he blew up. But that's a powerful testimony, man, for real. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of
man.
people can learn a lot from that for sure.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
So what was your first deal? Like which project was it that was your first one when you finally got to the process, when you got the process and you was ready to make the move? Which one was your first one? Your big one?
So my no, not that one. It was one in right at the time his school was called Perimeter College.
Mhm.
But now UG Georgia State bought the college, but there was an apartment complex, a small apartment complex. It was around 40 units at that time
Mm.
uh, that I was able to purchase. It was run down. Uh, you know, a lot of it was a D property, what they call D property, Class D property,
Mhm.
drug activity. You know, it was basically abandoned and condemned. So, but it came up for sale, off market listing,
Mhm.
and we went to them, analyzed the deal. With my construction background, I knew exactly what needed to be done, and you know, my challenge first was raising capital, private capital. It wasn't institutional capital. I pretty much knew how to do that because I was already doing new construction, single family properties.
Mhm.
So as I converted into that, it's like you gotta have, you know, they want you to have experience and do all these deals. So um, I had to find another partner to get into the deal, but at a you know his position was lower equity, so I
Gotcha.
paid him a lower equity and a sponsor fee for him to get in. We did his 40 units. I rehabbed it. We filled it and then refinanced it within 2 years, actually less than 2 years. And now I had a track record with that partner, which he brought the equity from his investor pool. I had the bank. Yeah, man.
That's what's up. So now, in terms of like from start to finish, how long would it typically take to do? Because you said your largest one was 400 units?
400 units in Decatur. Yeah. For ground up development, man, that's it's a longer process, depending on well, like I said, it's a longer process.
Gotcha.
You depending how you're acquiring it, um, it could be with partnership with family, it could be a city-owned asset, it could be just a regular listing acquisition. Um, Typically for a development deal, you're looking at construction-wise 2 years, I would say. Stabilization for a full project is, I say, 3 to 4 years.
Gotcha.
I would say. So depending how you're doing it, it depends. The market rate side could be a little bit quicker, depending on what type of debt you're getting, agency debt or your local debt, depending on the size of the project. Going through your due diligence, getting appraisals, all of that stuff. That's almost a year in itself.
Gotcha.
Of and getting permits, that's almost in a year in itself.
Right.
Then you got an 18 to 24 month construction timeline. And then when you get your CO, you got a 6 month to a year stabilization period. Then when you hit stabilization, then you're looking for your takeout, or you should already actually have your takeout lined up already when you're going through your due diligence.
Gotcha.
So it could be a 3 to 4 year time frame, depending on the deal.
That's what's up.
Rehabs, it could take it could take less than that. It's just like I said, it just depends on the size of the deal.
On the property. I got you, or the project. Okay, so now with that, how did you get involved with the CEO experience? Like, what was your the connection with you and Mr. Ware with the CEO experience? Like, how did that come about, and how did you become the keynote speaker?
Yeah. First I was introduced and I met a guy named Albert Lee. Mr. Albert Lee is a talented guy, very interesting guy. I had a conversation with about some stuff we don't want to talk about, politics and Black people and everything else that goes along with that.
Right.
Had a nice dinner.
Right.
And he sent me a message on would I be okay with being a part of being a speaker for this CEO experience. Then he put me in contact with Mr. Ware. Mr. Ware is full of energy, and good guy. He's a good guy.
Absolutely.
But a very good guy. But he's full of energy, and he's, hey, you ready? We're gonna do it. Let's go. We're ready.
What to do, baby? We're gonna make it do what we're gonna
make it do what it do. Yeah, you got it. And I said, all right, let's go. Let's do it.
That's
and but yeah, it was through Albert Lee, and he introduced me to Mr. Ware.
That's what's up. He's doing his thing too, man. Like, it's crazy because both them brothers, they doing it, man. And I appreciate it. I just my first one was whatever the last one was. I can't remember what month it was. Maybe like June, July, I believe. June or July. They had one, and I didn't realize that I knew Mr. Ware. Like, another buddy of mine told me about it at a networking event, and he was like, "Hey, man, you should check out this event or whatever." So I went and checked it out. And when I seen him on stage, I'm like, I know this brother from somewhere, but I couldn't recall where I knew him from. But I do mentoring in the schools here, in the Bay Area as well. And so he actually is a friend of one of the sisters who I worked with for her nonprofit. And he came in one time when I was speaking to the high school. And so after the event was over, he called me like the following week. And he was like, "Hey, man, I appreciate you coming out." And then that energy got to kicking in. And then we kind of been connected and doing things together ever since. But it's like he's a special dude, man. I definitely love what he's doing with the CEO experience, and I think the people are going to be in for a treat when you hit the stage, man. To let them know, what you got going on and all the things that you've been a part of, especially with the projects, and then what you're doing even in our area, which I think is really it's a big deal because it's definitely needed, as far as like with the affordable housing and especially with the school board and the Pinellas County school system, because it's something that I think can make a huge impact, not only with the opportunities for the affordable housing, but just for our youth and for the community, for the youth to be able to get the teachers and, have the proper adequate access to education, because that's the only way we're going to get to continue to see people like you and, make things happen on that scale. So what can the people expect to hear from you when you hit the stage at the experience?
Man, I'm really not a speaker. I just do my
I got
thing.
you.
I'm not really of do this thing for, a living. I like to do what I do best, and that's real estate.
Got you.
But
Got you.
I'm gonna just keep it real, man, and I'm gonna tell the truth. I want them to understand what people that who don't know understand the processes, the trials and tribulations I've been through, and also the successes.
Right.
And if I can motivate, one or two in the crowd to move forward and something that I do and help with that, then I've accomplished my goals, man. To be honest with
Absolutely.
you,
Absolutely.
that's all it's about. You said you was into the youth, man. That's one of the main initiatives in my book that I try to aim for. I grew up in foster care. My initiative is to help aged out foster care children um, understand another side of wealth in business. Uh, as there's any, I don't have anything wrong with the entertainment sector, but I just want them to have and show them a different light uh, with business, with real estate, private equity, mergers and acquisitions,
Mm,
it's like that that us as people can excel in too.
mm,
So we always see the Wall Street, the other brothers that are there and dominating that field,
right.
but
On your leisure and Wall Street Trapper.
all
Yeah.
those guys,
Yeah.
good guys, they're doing their thing. But
Mm-hmm.
we also want to show them another aspect of how we do business as well, and honest business as well.
Right.
You can shoot straight, you can be straight, you don't have to scam, you don't have to steal and do all of this stuff, man. You could still make a lot of money, as they say, run the play or get the bag or whatever they say,
Right.
which is fine, man. But we wanna be advocates for youth development through
Right.
business.
Absolutely. Nah, and that's something that I'm extremely passionate about, and have been for a while now, because like, I get what they're doing and I respect it. But like you said, I think there's levels to it too. And I think for me, I love when I get to speak to them, because I can walk in the classroom and speak to some brothers and sisters I've never seen before, but I can connect to them because I can relate to them. You know what I'm saying? It's like I know that where I come from, I know how the Jeezys and the Big Meeches and all of them got to where they got to, and I looked up to them. And for me, I should have been in the NBA if I didn't try to follow into those footsteps, is how I feel. But at the same time, I'm lucky and blessed to be alive and not in the box or behind the bars where most of my peers ended up going from some of the decisions that I made. And I think for me, I feel like I have to use my opportunity of not being in those situations where a lot of my peers are, to be able to pay it forward and to teach and just try to lead by example, to let them know like it ain't all about having to be a ball player or being a rapper or being an actor or being a dope boy or being none of that, because you still, like you said, you can get to the bag, you can be extremely successful and be extremely, create wealth, in
Yeah,
multiple other ways and do it legitimately, as long as you're doing it in a way that's not, gonna hurt nobody or tear nobody else down or kill nobody,
yep,
etc. And I think that's
yep,
something that I love doing, because, like you said, if I could just get one or two of them to take my message, or take the little bit of information that I'm trying to share with them and do something, I feel like that I accomplished my goal. You know what I'm saying? The mission was accomplished with that. So I definitely agree with you on that one for sure.
absolutely, man, absolutely. Well, Continue with the kids, man. That's me right there. I usually don't talk to the old heads. Right? They don't
Right,
listen to me.
right. They don't want to hear it. They're like, yeah, yeah,
They
we
don't want to hear it. But
already know.
kids, man, if I can, definitely motivate them or sway them to do uh, out of the norm of what they see on a
Mhm.
daily aspect of how they live, I've accomplished. So, likewise, kudos to you, man, for doing that. Maybe we can link up on some things and
Absolutely.
definitely partner on some stuff like that. So,
Absolutely, man. We'll definitely like off air. We'll get together for sure because I'm all for it. And that's funny because it kind of I know time's running out on us, but that'll lead me to one of my last questions is like what is your why? Like because with based off of what I've learned in this little bit of time from you and your story, I think I got a good idea. But like, what is your why and what inspires you to do what you do, even at the level and the scale that you're at? A lot of people can get to, like I said, get to the bag and walk off and be traveling around the world, driving Lambos and all this, you know what I'm saying, and not paying no attention to their community and trying to, help those who, where we come from. But nah, you doing the opposite. Like you in the community doing things in multiple communities, for the community. So what is your why and kind of like how did that inspire you to do what you do, especially with the community work?
and that's the best question you asked me all day. I love it. I have 3 girls that I want them as one for them to look up to their dad and say, "My dad is cool. He's doing his thing. Uh, he's not in jail. He's not doing anything illegal, and we still riding around cool and being productive and getting money."
Right.
Second, um, and I think hearing from you, we grew up in situations where we went through some things as children, experienced some things that we did not want to experience in a different life. Like I said, I grew up in the foster care system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, being in neighborhoods or running in neighborhoods or running with people that are not here today
Mm-hmm.
by either being dead or being in jail. Um, so my motivation is for again to see and be an example to these young men in particular that look like me,
Mm-hmm.
that they can say, if he can do it, I can do it. A lot of these kids, especially in my own neighborhoods, know my challenges, know what I'm not perfect at all. So they
Mm-hmm.
know what I've been through. So I want them to see uh, uh, the level of right to definitely see that, hey man, if he did that thing, I know what he's done. I know what he's been through, and I can do it too. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so it's to just be an example to us as brothers, as men that look like me, to motivate them to be successful and come compete. We love it. I love it, man. I'm partnered with some good brothers that that look like me, and we motivate each other. We talk mess to each other. Uh, we compete. We compete. They do deals. I do deals. But at the end of the day, we make sure that we are at the best level that we can be, because that's what makes it competitive.
Right.
So mentorship is something that is needed, and I will continue to get for myself as well as give to the younger generation so they can come take my place.
I know that's right. Nah, that's what's up, man. And that's real. That's I don't really think there's nothing else for me to ask on that one because that's it. Each one teach one, and like the old, the African proverb of Saint Kofa, we got to once we make it forward, we got to reach back and get those who
Back
are
again
willing
to
to
get
come, man, and bring them with us. So
yep.
that's powerful, and I definitely appreciate you taking the time, man, to chop it up with us and to share your story and a little bit about the industry and the success that you've been able to achieve and accomplish, along with letting everybody know that it didn't come easy and that it's a process. And I think, that's what matters the most. A lot of people think that you could just go to level
Yeah.
10 without starting walking through one, through 9. It don't work like that. Yeah. We got to go through the process. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to share the process, man, and letting us know a little bit about you and what you got going on, what you're doing. I look forward to seeing you, I believe, next Friday at the event, and definitely working together in the future for sure.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate your time, man.
Likewise, likewise.
Man. Thank you.
Absolutely. It was an honor and a pleasure, brother. So what I'll do, let me wrap this. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Prolific Perspective Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we will be back next week with another episode. We out. Peace.